Welcome to another episode of Women in Focus. I have a beautiful woman in the studio today. Her name is Mariat Jibril, and she's written this fantastic book, Whispers of Hope. You're most welcome in our program. How are you doing?
I'm doing really very well. Thank you for having me. And I feel truly honored to be here because you're such a legend. And
You've heard this from other people.
No, this is what I know because I always listen to your program. I always watch your program. And thank you for what you do in the community. It's really very rewarding. And we're just really blessed to have you.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, Mariat, what an interesting name you've got, Mariat Jibril.
Yes.
Where does it come from?
So my full names are Mariat Imade Nuagbon Jibril. So Imade has been abbreviated as Imade short form because it's really long.
Yes.
But my name, my both first name and last name are Muslim's name from Muslim background. I was born a Muslim. And that has really helped me in terms of, you know, understanding cultural respect and everything. And I'm really honored to have had those names. Mariat actually, in English way, means Mariam or Mary. Yes. So and then Jibril, Angel Gabriel. So kind of the angelic side of it. So I'm just really honored to have such powerful names.
Beautiful.
And my first name, the same, my middle name, as powerful too, given to me by my grandmother, my great grandmother. Gave me Imade, and Imade just means I don't conform to the ways of the world. I am my unique self.
Which you are.
Yes.
Now, I understand you were born in Nigeria.
Yes, and I'm so blessed to have had that opportunity to have that, you know, African background in me. And I'm full African, and I really embrace it. And I also embrace, you know, territories that I live in. I'm truly blessed to be here in Canada as well. But, you know, I've lived in so many different countries, and culture is a big thing for me. And I think that makes me understand, you know, people, ways of life, and diversity. And that's why I'm a big fan. And when it comes to advocating for DIB, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, it's something that is dear to my heart because this is how the world will work. The world will work better when we just don't come together, but we come together to truly work together and truly support each other.
Isn't that just beautiful? So if I took you back to your childhood, what would I experience? What was the place that you were born in? I mean, it's so interesting because you and I come from the same continent. You were born in Nigeria, which is on the west side of Africa.
Yes.
I was born in the east side of Africa, which is Kenya.
I don't think we should ever depart from our culture. I think it's a big part of who we are.
Yes.
And we should embrace it, and we should embrace it so confidently and fully. And the African fabrics are as beautiful.
Out of this world.
I did talk about it in my book. And, you know, so when you ask me, go back to my childhood, there are times in my childhood that my mom will make all of this fabric for me, especially when I'm graduating from school.
Wow.
And I didn't want to wear them because I wanted to look like everyone else wearing those prom English dresses. But now looking back, and I'll be like, you know, I really love this. I want to truly embrace who I really am, right? So my life has been a transformation, and I'm so glad for the gratitude that I practice now. I look back to all the challenges and the pain and the trauma. Going back into my childhood was not a fairy tale completely, but it made me who I am today. It gave me the grit and the solidness, the fortitude, the confidence, the appreciation of life, of people around me, and also understanding, you know, energy that I don't want to be involved with, you know, like being that woman of powerful force, but being a kind person. Being a kind person, not a nice person, because they're two different.
Oh, kind and nice are two different things, okay?
They are. Okay. They are. Nice could come in the place of being timid and just being nice because this is how we've been conditioned, right? But it doesn't really come from the heart. I'm just going to be polite. But being kind is more of a human thing that we need to do. Like it really comes from the heart, right? So we have to ask ourselves, as my childhood conditioned me to be nice and not being kind, or both. So my transformation have come from a place where I truly want to be a kind person. I truly want to go into humanity, and that's why for me, whole communities matters to me. where I go in and do my best and make friends, enjoy music from different cultures, eat different food from different cultures, and then that just, you know, it makes my heart full.
You know, you mentioned that, you know, your childhood was, I don't want to take you to a place where, you know, there was pain.
It's okay.
But having said that, you said that that's what makes you, which is very true. Because if you haven't had those experiences, you cannot appreciate what you are right now or what you had at that time. When you mentioned that, it sort of, and that your mom made the dress and that you wanted to wear dresses of other girls, but now looking back at it, what a lovely thing you did. Just like your mother, my mother made all our clothes as well, you know, and it was because we were in a community which was all Indian in Africa. We didn't have that, but there was hierarchy, you know, rich people and poor people. So that was always there. So I think that has a lot of impact on your growth as well.
It does.
But when you look back at it, you say to yourself, because I've gone through all that, I am able to reconcile with it and to be able to be empowered by it. Am I correct in thinking?
100%, and I like the word reconcile by it, because I had to at one point. There's one, I stayed in England for most part of my life,
I see.
I relocated from England to come here, and when I left England to come here, I had full-blown English accent.
Yes.
And I actually reconciled with myself and said, listen, what am I doing? Is this really truly how I really sound, or is it more about how I want to sound? I want to bring back all of me. Like, I want to sound like me. I want to sound like a girl from Nigeria. But, you know, there's no need to camouflage. There's no need to hide any part of me. And that's why I embrace my culture in my food, in my music, in the way I dress, the way I talk, in my mannerism. You know, there's oftentimes people always think like, you know, when you're from Africa, specifically people use the word like Nigeria, people don't know about unconscious biases or microaggression by what they do. And you feel like, you know, people from Nigeria are really loud or aggressive or this. That's not true. We're just human beings, right? So all of those things, I'm trying to make people see good side of cultures, right? We don't have to have all of those microaggression all the time about, you know, how people perceive themselves. But I've reconciled with my childhood. I've reconciled with the things that I didn't appreciate, because I was just a little girl at that time, right? But, you know, a little girl who looked up to other people and wanted to be like them. But I realized, no, I want to be me. And the moment I'm being me, I see that that is where the power is.
Beautiful.
Because I'm uniquely myself, and no one is ever going to be me.
No one is like you. No.
No one is ever going to be me.
Beautiful. I want to talk about a little bit more about your childhood, and you said lived in England for quite some time. So that has a lot to do with whatever you are doing right now. We'll take a short break and come back. Don't go away. Welcome back to Women in Focus. Our Woman in Focus today is an amazing person who's written this beautiful book. I'm going to talk about this book, Whispers of Hope. Now, being born and brought up in Nigeria, then you studied in England, I guess, or worked there, and then you came to Canada. And now you've got an organization called MIJ Consulting, and you told me that, you know, diversity, equality, inclusion, and belonging is something that is a part of your service that you do for other people. Can we talk a little bit about your childhood before we get to this? Was it a happy childhood? Was it a sad childhood?
In the place where I am right now, I wouldn't say it's sad. But if I have to travel back into the time machine, it was sad.
It wasn't.
It was sad. And, but I was very happy for everything that I went through taught me a lot. So
big family, small family? It
was a big family. It was a polygamous family.
Oh.
And polygamous family often sometimes is okay.
Yes.
But ours was a dysfunctional polygamous family. My daddy ended up having 3 wives. Then later on 2 were living together, and it was always competition and fight and browse, and the kids were really affected by this. And I was, you know, grew up with all of this stuff, and it was something that really bothered me. It was something that I questioned all the time, and when I questioned my mind, I became my dad's favorite because I was never afraid to come sit down and ask him questions. I knew when my daddy was sad, and I come talk to him. And at one time I asked my dad, "Did you have to marry 2 wives? This is causing you a lot of board pain." And he looked at me and just shook his head and smiled and called me closer.
Yeah.
And then told me a lot of things about the culture. And I found out that my daddy probably wouldn't have.
No.
But we grew up where we need to do things the way
everybody else was doing it.
And the expectation.
Ah.
Everyone expects you. You're now an Alaji. You have to have 2 wives. It shows you you're a man. It shows that you're a powerful man, that you have more than 1 wife at home. And then we have 10 children, right? And my daddy, I wondered how he fed us all. You know, it was those, there were times when my childhood things went bad for my dad, and he didn't have as much to provide for his family. And this is a man who was a philanthropist, and he was providing for everyone. Like he had so many, we had cousins, nieces, nephews in the house that grew up in our house that my daddy sent to school, sent to university. And I wondered how he did it all. And then those bitter moments where things were not working, you know,
for
as
him
good.
or the whole family, yeah.
Yeah, and then talking about painful part of my childhood, when my daddy sent me to an uncle to go get some money from school. And he wanted to take advantage of me because he felt, well, I could give you some money, but let me take advantage of you because I heard you're a virgin. So those things are typical things like that, you know, it's resonated with a lot of people in Africa that children go through, and sometimes we don't talk about it. So my book was painful. It's heavy because I decided to talk about all of these traumas and pain that I went through. And I wanted to talk about all of those pains and traumas because I know that it wasn't just only me.
No.
There's so many people out there, and I want my story to help them heal. I can't tell you that I've healed because healing is not a linear path.
No.
It's a journey because things will trigger you, but you have to find a coping mechanism. And the coping mechanism is knowing who you are, knowing those around you, knowing what your purpose and your mission is. Do you know what your purpose of life is? Like I know my purpose of life right now is to go and inspire, and I help a lot of people heal.
Right.
And a lot of people find their voice. My purpose is to continue my work in DEIB, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, allowing organizations to understand what that truly means, not pink wash style, not just a stamp, but truly allowing their colleagues and employees have a sense of belonging and having a voice. Because at the end of the day, it brings innovation, creativity, profitability, everything that an organization needs, right? It's a good thing to have different people for all walks of life, and it's also mostly good for you to listen to their voice. Are people able to contribute to the organization? Do you even listen? So, you know, diversity is different people on the table. Inclusion is everybody on the table have a voice, and you know, equity is the voice is aired and applied. Do you know what I mean? And then we all go to work and have a sense of belonging. And we talk about mental health a lot in the society these days. But we all find ways to mitigate mental health. And I said this to someone recently. If you have a manager, that is your first therapist. Your manager should find ways to mitigate risk of mental health. How you treating your employees. Your job is not to judge with judgmental. Your job is not to have favoritism. Your job is to create a place where everybody feels safe. Create a safe space where people can come, people can have their sense of belonging, their authentic self, bring their whole self to work.
Wow.
You know, and just embrace who they are.
I want to ask you more questions about, you know, you've been going out and talking to people and consulting. And I understand soon you'll be going to consult with Forbes. But let me take a short commercial break, come back. Mariat Jibril is our Woman in Focus today. Don't go away. We'll be right back with the next juicy part. Welcome back to Women in Focus. Mariat Jibril is our Woman in Focus today. Mariat, you know, your organization has got these three things, and DEIB, which stands for diversity, equality, inclusion, and belonging. Belonging is one of the most important part of this particular four letters, right? When you go out to consult with other people, what sort of organizations invite you to come?
Well, it depends. It's various. I've got organizations that contact me directly, and they want me to come see what their policy is like, or maybe do a survey of their employees. And at the end of the day, it's because, like, truly, honestly, we can't really tell in terms of you know, measurements which organizations are at equity, because it's progressive.
Right.
I don't think any organization will come and tell you, oh, we've reached equity, but they're progressing, they're making a step towards equity. Belonging is where, if we give a platform for employees, colleagues to belong, then we are helping to mitigate a lot of risk.
Right.
And also, we are making employees bring their whole self and feel appreciated at work and feel that they really belong there. And belonging comes like where there's a representation of me. Like, you know, I don't want to go work in a place where it's just me, Mariat, that looks like Mariat that is there, right?
Yeah.
So, and then given a platform like what we call the ERG, Employment Resource Group,
right,
where employees can, who are in their own community, can come together and foster a lot of change for the organization, where their voice can also be heard loudly.
Right.
And they all can come and talk about, you know, how they can, you know, either promote or bring strategies to the organization. And it just gives you a sense of, you know, that your voice is amplified.
Or it's at least being understood and appreciated.
Yes.
Right?
Understood is a big one.
Yeah.
Because you are in the mix of people who actually understand
Right.
your point of view and
Right.
how that point of view can be interpreted into organization strategies that can help the organization forge forward in how they take care of their employees and how they can then create their own culture, because
Right.
every organization have a sense of culture.
Right.
And we have to create the culture that is right, and the culture that is justifiable, the culture that is for everyone.
Right.
And the culture where everybody feels that they belong. So this is why belonging is really huge. But equity is just as massive, right? But given that sense of belonging, then organization can start moving into the sense of equity. You know, so I always say the best way to look at equity is that, say for example, you know, sure, I'm a little bit taller than you, let's use it that way.
Yes,
and then,
a lot taller than me.
and then, you know, we want to look at a plane, we go in a sports theater and they say, hey, you're going to sit here, and the seats are equal.
Yes.
But I can see and you cannot see, but the seats are equal.
Yes.
So that's equality. They're giving you the same seats.
Yes.
But then equity comes better to say, there is a problem here.
Yeah.
I know you've made everything equal, looks balanced. They are sitting on the same chair. But Mariat is taller and she can see, but, you know, she can't see.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, we're going to give you a raise. So we give you an extra.
So that's equity.
That's equity. So you now come into the same level as me. So it's a way for organization to really understand what that is.
Wow.
Because people do diversity. Oh yeah, we employ everybody from all walks of life. We're really great in diversity. Oh yeah, inclusion, we've included everyone there. We have people from different cultures who are managers. Okay, what about their voices? What about their ideas? How their ideas can go back and serve those ERG groups, those belonging sector. And then that's when you can talk about equity, that, oh, truly, you know, we've employed all diverse people, but now we've given them a voice. Are we listening and amplifying those voices into the way we work, into our services? Because customers are going to come in, they're going to look like your colleagues and your subordinates. How are you amplifying those voices? How are you serving the community? So that is where we talk about a lot of how the equity can really look for surface for mostly organizations, and how they can succeed is to have a true balance of what DEIB is. I like breaking it into, you know, informal way for people to really understand it, because sometimes it could be really very heavy. And there's a talk like, oh, you know, DEI is too common, like we should change it, we shouldn't talk about it. No. I think sometimes we get uncomfortable to be comfortable. We have to continue this conversation, because equity is not a far-reaching, it's not a place that, oh yeah, we're there now, let's stop. It's a continuous process. We have to continue.
Mariat, that's beautifully explained. You know, there is so much stuff that I haven't covered. I wanted to ask you about, why did you write this book? You said this is therapeutic. You wanted everybody to know what you've gone through, Whispers of Hope, your life, and the way you have dealt with different aspects of your life. I also wanted to ask you questions about, you know, why did you leave England and come to Canada? But, you know, that's a whole new story, because I was in England and I came to Canada as well. So from Africa to England to Canada. So I guess those are some of the stories that we'll have to ask you when you come back again, because I want you to come back, and we want to do another interview with you in which we will just talk about just your life and the book that you have written. And you are such an interesting person that there's so many other questions in my mind, but we'll be going on for hours on this. One last statement. What does DEIB want to achieve in life? What would that be?
So my mantra is better, not bitter. And I think that's what I want DEIB to be, to make this world better and not a bitter place. So everything I've been through, and I didn't mention, I'm a 2 times cancer survivor, paralyzed for 2 years in the wheelchair. If I could be here, sitting in front of this amazing legend and having a talk today, I truly want everyone to know there is hope. Once we're alive, we have every possibility, 1,000 million possibility, to be who we truly want to be and live our purpose of life.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so very much for being our Woman in Focus today.
Thank you for having me.
Mariat Jibril has been our Woman in Focus today. Don't go away. We'll be right back.